Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the results of the latest death battle. So this death battle was between Ant-Man from Marvel versus Atom from DC. In my prediction video, I claimed that Atom was going to win based on the fact that he had a much better arsenal. Um, and that was what I really went to. Plus, that the fact that Hank Pym was unstable mentally, and that would be enough for Palmer to take the win. Now, what had happened was when they were going over the logistics of everything, I forgot about the ants, but I didn't think it was going to be that much of a factor due to the point that, the Atom could just beat up ants. I didn't think that was going to be a big issue. So we move on from that, and then the only other thing that was different was that I was aware of before this was the fact that Hank could make himself huge, and Adam could not. One of the biggest things I learned was, well, first off, Hank Pym was a lot smarter than Palmer, and the fact that he had the ability to manipulate the size of other objects and peoples with ease. However, um, Palmer's belt would make it difficult, if not impossible, to actually manipulate the size of Palmer. But Hank could be able to do all the other stuff, meaning he would be able to actually manipulate all other objects around him, and if by chance was able to destroy the boat, would be able to do so. I also didn't know, and although this doesn't change anything, I found out that Palmer's abilities comes from a white dwarf star. That was new to me. I was not prepared for that. It blows my mind. But the fact that he has to have the belt on him to do it is also not 100% true. He can actually manipulate his size as long as he has his suit on, because it does have some of the dwarf star energy inside of it. So he is able to manipulate his size a little bit without the belt. Um, so the battle starts, they start fighting. They're both able to deduce exactly how each other shrinks. So Palmer figures out that there's some sort of particle that doesn't exist in his world, um, that makes Hank shrink and grow. And then Hank was able to deduce that it was a dwarf star that was able to make Palmer shrink. And the two started fighting. Hank was only able to hit with the amount of the strength of a regular human, even at the smallest size, whereas the Atom could always use put all of his mass inside of one fist or any part of his body. It didn't have to be just his fist. So in a close combat battle, it was going to be Atom that wins this fight. But it was more to that than just that. What had happened was they go to the microverse. Hank realizes that the Atom has limits, and to Hank's knowledge, and because Hank thinks of himself so great, he didn't think he had any limitations, which technically in growing and shrinking, he does not have any limits. So that being said, he has the ants destroy the belt. He then forces both Palmer and himself into the outer space, which is a place that only the most gigantic beings of all are able to go. And it is during that time is where all the ants that were inside of Palmer ripped him apart little by little, as they grew to massive sizes and killed him. So, yeah, it was one, very gross, two, very disturbing, and three, I was shocked. I thought because DC was just significantly stronger overall, but apparently Hank was so much smarter than Palmer. And in fact, the ability that Hank had, he didn't actually need the pin particles because he was using them so much. He actually didn't need to use them anymore. Excuse me, he was able to actually use them. Um, well, basically on a whim. So he was able to actually just kind of, how do I put it? Expose himself to pin particles enough to the point where he could just at will shrink and grow himself along with objects all around him. And it was because of that that Adam did not stand a chance. Even though each other was about equal in their abilities for the most part, when it came to the shrinking part, they were equal. It wasn't, and I think Adam had like a little bit of the strength, mostly because he could put his whole density, his whole mass into one body part at any given moment. But it was more the fact that the growing and the versatility of Hank's abilities to grow anything and everything around, which is what made him the actual winner of this death battle. So, starting it off great, I got one wrong. Big sharker there, right? In my defense, I normally go Marvel, and I've been wrong every time. So, of course, the one time I switch it up is the time I'm wrong. But the next death battle is going to be between the chosen undead from Dark Souls versus Dragonborn from Skyrim. So, I'm next week, next Monday specifically, I will be going through to understand these two characters or two races better. I believe they're races or like classes to choose from in the game. I'm gonna go as much detail as I can about these two, and I'm gonna do another prediction video next week. We'll see if I get that one right. But let me know what you guys thought about this death battle in the comments below. I know there was at least one of you in the comments who was 100% on Hank Pym's side. You were right. I was wrong. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I was wrong. But it was a little sad. Um, I was really thinking Palmer was going to win. But we'll have to wait next week to find out who I think is going to win the next death battle. So, as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.